Joining us now, the chair of the House Homeland Security Committee, Congressman McCaul, sponsor of an immigration reform bill the House may vote on this week after rejecting a more conservative plan on Thursday. Mr. Chairman, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you, Chris.
Let's start with that more moderate immigration reform bill that you helped pass. Let's put up what's in it. It provides a pathway to citizenship for the Dreamers, $25 billion to build a border wall, puts new limits on legal immigration, and ends separation of families. President Trump tweeted this Friday: Republicans should stop wasting their time on immigration until after we elect more senators and congressmen, women, in November. So, will the House still vote on your bill this week, and how much damage has President Trump "stop wasting your time" tweet done to the chances for passage?
Well, I would urge the president to continue to support the four pillars idea. That's my border security bill, going to a merit-based system and providing for a rational DACA fix. That was rejected. As you mentioned, the conservative bill that Chairman Goodlatte and I sponsored got rejected. But I did talk to the White House yesterday. They say the president's still 100% behind us. Moving forward, I think, you know, when you look at these kids down there, and I've been down there, this is not the first time this has happened. This happened in 2014 as well. Congress needs to act to close the legal loopholes that incentivize the coyotes to bring these children into the United States. And if we don't do that, we're going to see this scenario, this human tragedy, play out over and over again.
But the president's tweet, "Stop wasting your time," can't have helped. And the fact is that the reason that this bill, the more moderate bill, was put over from last week to this week is because you still don't have the votes.
Well, I would call it a consensus bill. We're trying to get a consensus from Freedom Caucus, moderates, and people in the middle on the Republican side. We had a very good conference when we put a pause on that bill going forward. I felt very optimistic that we're going to have a solution to this problem. And if we don't do this, you're going to see more and more of these kids at the border. And let's not forget the dangerous journey they make. You know, the Secretary told me there were 12,000 children, 10,000 of them did not come with parents, but rather the coyote was their guardian, taking them from Central America all the way through Mexico and the United States. A very dangerous journey where they're abused and exploited.
If comprehensive reform, your bill, goes down this week, and there still seems to be more likely than not, there's already talk that the House may try to pass a narrow bill which would deal simply with the idea of keeping families together, not separating them. One, is that true? And secondly, if you pass that bill, is it humane that your solution is going to be, well, yeah, we're going to keep them together, but we're going to keep the families and the children detained for weeks or even months?
Well, under the bill that I hope to pass this week, we provide the solution. You know, the problem, Chris, is that we treat people from other than Mexico, the Central Americans, different from the Mexicans coming across. We want to treat them all the same, and that is, when you come in from Mexico as a child, you are detained, but then immediately removed from the country. We think if we could do that with the Central American population, that would go a long ways to providing, disincentivizing these smugglers and cartels and traffickers from bringing the kids up in the first place.
But is there talk about, and is there serious thought about, if you can't pass your bill, that you go to a skinny bill that just deals with family separation?
I think we at a minimum have to deal with the family separation. I'm a father of 5. I think this is inhumane, and I think the pictures that we have seen, that's not the face of America I think that most people in this country want.
The president keeps blaming Democrats for the problem and the failure to deal with the immigration problem in this country. Take a look.
Democrats don't care about the impact of uncontrolled migration on your communities, your schools, your hospitals, your jobs, or your safety. Democrats put illegal immigrants before they put American citizens. What the hell is going on?
But, Chairman, Republicans control the House. It was Republicans who failed to pass the more conservative bill this week. It's Republicans who could pass your bill next week without a single Democratic vote. In fact, you could lose 20 Republican votes and still pass the bill. So for all the presidents talk about Democrats, if you fail to pass the bill, isn't that on Republicans, not Democrats?
Well, I think our family needs to come together. The fact is, every Democrat voted against a very, I think, rational DACA fix. They've been talking about DACA, for a year now, and we had a bill on the floor that would resolve this issue, legalize the DACA kids, and yet every one of them voted against that. I don't think that's operating in good faith either. And I also think it's important on the border security piece. I've been doing this since I was a federal prosecutor in Texas, to chairman of this committee, to deliver on the president's campaign promise to build the wall, the technology, and get the border secure. The threats.
But why can't you get Republicans to support this? I mean, Democrats oppose it. Certain elements of it, like the wall, like limiting legal immigration. Why can't you get your own house in order and Republicans pass the House?
Well, I am the eternal optimist, and I do think there are 218 Republicans that agree with the 4 pillars of border security, ending chain migration, visa lottery, a random system, and fixing the DACA children.
But some of the hardline conservatives call that amnesty and are going to vote against it.
It's merit-based.
I'm talking about the DACA.
Right, and it's a merit-based visa. It's based on merit. It's not amnesty. I mean, Raul Labrador is hardly a left-wing liberal, right? He's a very conservative Freedom Caucus guy. Actually drafted that DACA provision that Carlos Corbello on the left, they came to an agreement on that.
I want to go to something else you said about all of this, because if the House does pass something, it goes on to the Senate, where you would need 10 or 9 Democratic votes to get above the filibuster-proof majority, to get to 60 votes. You said this week that you think that the Republican majority in the Senate should change the rules and end the filibuster. But, sometimes when you're in the minority, that works to your benefit. And the question I guess I have is, okay, that would help you right now, but are you willing to see a Democratic president and a Democratic Senate, and that'll come at some point, able to ram anything they want through?
Well, we did that with the Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch.
Not legislation.
I would argue, though, that this is national security at stake. Securing that border, the threats, I can tell you, not only drug cartels, opioids, but also the terrorists. We stop 10 terrorists every day from getting into this country. I look at it from a national security standpoint. It should be a bipartisan issue, but if not, the Senate has that traditional rule. I think they should waive it in this case on the basis of national security to protect the American people.
Let's turn to the president's executive order this week and the confusion that it has sown at the border. Here's what the president said.
So we're keeping families together, and this will solve that problem. At the same time, we are keeping a very powerful border, and it continues to be a zero tolerance.
But as chairman of House Homeland Security, can you sit here and tell me right now, as we sit here, do you know when those 2,000 children who are still separated from their families will be reunited with their parents?
Well, I applaud the president for reversing course on this issue. Those children were sent into the custody of HHS, who then sent them 1,000 miles away to relatives in the United States. I think the better way to do this that our bill does is we keep the family together, but we also treat them like the Mexican people, where we detain and then remove them from the country. If we don't do that, we will never stop this problem. We'll be talking about this next year and the year after if we don't fix it by Congress.
But I just to press my point, do you know when these 2,000 children who have been separated, and as you say, some of them are thousands of miles away, when are they going to be reunited with their parents?
I think it's a very difficult thing to do, and they're going to have to bring them back to the border where they should have been in the first place.
So we're talking weeks or months?
And be with their parents who violated the law, reunite them at the family center, and then go forward with the removal proceedings. But Chris, as it exists now under the Flores decision, after 20 days, they are released into society. And these could be dangerous people. I'm not saying they all are. I think the children, because of HHS, they're put into their custody and transferred somewhere else in the country.
Let me ask you another specific question. As chairman of House Homeland Security, do you know whether adults, members of families crossing the border illegally, can and are still being prosecuted under zero tolerance.
That was a plan. They violated the law. They were being prosecuted.
Now we hear some of these people are being dismissed.
I have heard recent reports now that may be, that policy may be revisited and it may not go forward.
Zero tolerance?
That's some of the reporting I'm getting, and it's very unclear how this executive order is playing out. But I'm unclear about now the prosecution of the parents. I think they want to reunite the family and then remove them from the country.
Final question. At the height of this furor, you said, and you basically made that point just now, that you were distraught as a father of 5 at what's happened. And you said at one point that this policy must come to an end. How badly has this been handled?
I think, you know, to set forth a policy, then have to reverse it is not a consistent message, obviously, to be candid with you. But I think I wouldn't fault the administration on this. I would fault the United States Congress, who has the power to change the laws that will stop this from happening again, and yet we can't seem to get this done. And that's why I've urged my colleagues, why is this so important? National security is at stake, protecting the American people. We have to get this done, or we'll be seeing this scene play out over and over again. We had 30,000 kids in 2014. We're going to see the same thing this summer if we don't change it.
Chairman McCaul, thank you. Thanks for your time. We'll track what happens with your comprehensive bill on the floor this week. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris.